We are about to have the largest screening of the documentary Dominion in all ASAP chapters. Over 15 universities exactly at the same time will screen this documentary, and we are advertising it as the scariest movie that people can watch for Halloween, and we are paying people $10 to watch it. This is gonna be difficult to watch, so if somebody has to leave, this is your opportunity. But if you stay, I request you to stay until the end. The reason that this is very scary is actually because it's real and it's happening as we are speaking. All good? Perfect.
For egg-laying hens, life begins at the hatchery. The male chicks are considered waste products and sent into an industrial blender called a macerator. The male calves are considered useless to the dairy industry. They are kept isolated for 5 days before being sent to the slaughterhouse. Most fur products are imported from overseas, much of that harvested from rabbits.
Smaller slaughterhouses may use individual killing cones.
We feel, or we're made to feel, that we champion different causes. But for me, I see commonality. Whether we're talking about gender inequality, or racism, or queer rights, or indigenous rights, or animal rights, we're talking about the fight against injustice. We're talking about the fight against the belief that one nation, one people, one race, one gender, or one species has the right to dominate, control, and use and exploit another with impunity. We've become very disconnected from the natural world. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for her calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. And I think we fear the idea of personal change because we think that we have to sacrifice something to give something up. But human beings at our best are so inventive and creative and ingenious. And I think that when we use love and compassion as our guiding principles, we can create, develop, and implement systems of change that are beneficial to all sentient beings and to the environment.
So, just like yourself, I grew up eating meat, egg, dairy, never really thought about any of this. When I was your age, I had a friend was trying to rescue animals, and my friend told me, you can't say you love animals and eat them too. I was butthurt at first, didn't like to hear that. But after 3 months of thinking about it and becoming increasingly more uncomfortable with the food I was eating, I changed. And when I started looking into it, when you understand the scale of exploitation, there is nothing as bad as that in terms of how much exploitation and suffering and pain we're causing with this system that we've built. And if you go to any slaughterhouse, these animals from small farms or big farms, they all go to the same slaughterhouse. And when you go there, when you look at these animals, when you look into their terrified eyes, you just ask yourself, is this the best we can do? Like humanity in 2024, this is how we should be producing food. And so the veganism is basically shifting your mindset from how we view animals as resources, as slaves, as objects, as commodities, to a perspective where we understand that exploiting animals is wrong, no matter whether they're dogs and cats and pigs and chickens. And so when I started learning about this, this became the biggest form of oppression and injustice of all time, and the most neglected one as well. We all say we love animals. We all say we are a decent people. Just yesterday I saw these people who were trying to get votes. They had some dogs on your campus. Everyone was like petting these dogs. But then down the road, everyone is eating like pigs and cows and chickens. So it just seems to me that there is a blind spot in our society that we treat some animals with compassion and love and we ignore the suffering of the rest. So I hope you find this helpful. All I ask you is that when you leave today, think about the urgency of veganism. If I was beating a dog or even a chicken or a pig in front of you, what would you do? You'll probably take action. You'll probably do something about it. Where does that sense of urgency go when it comes to these billions of other animals that we kill and torture and exploit every single day? And this is Ryan. He's the president of Allied Scholars for Animal Protection at UW.
Yeah. Thank you guys again for coming. I know this probably wasn't what you expected, but as you can see by now, why this is so important for students to see hear this message. We do different events on campus, from showing footage like you just saw yourself on screens. You may have seen this on campus before, and having conversations, as well as doing educational events. But I really want to hammer home the point here, especially for those food animals that we saw, ones that are used for food, the turkey and the eggs and the dairy. Through supply and demand, we have immense power to actually change the lives of these animals, not have them go through this horrible suffering and exploitation. For every 100 to 200 animals on average we're eating a year, doesn't have to happen in your name anymore if we live vegan and we don't exploit these animals. And I think it's safe to say, although obviously there's a lot of problems in the world and famines and poverty and war and starvation, things are going to get better over time. And hopefully this issue will get better over time in 50, 100, however many years it takes for the world to live vegan and not exploit these animals en masse. What side of history do we want to be looked back on? As one of those perpetrators who continue to this now that we know the truth and know better, or one of those people that helped liberate these animals and go against the grain and go against societies built on the back of these animals and actually go towards a more ethical world. And not only do we have power, but a really responsibility to do so, especially in an area of the world where we have so much privilege and ability to change the system. So I really encourage you guys too. You're welcome to sign up for the actual organization to get involved if you're interested. And thank you.
So I've been vegan for 3 years now. A friend told me about what goes on in this meat dairy egg industry. I did not know any of this earlier either. But once I knew, I made a transition to go vegan in a couple of weeks. I wish I had seen documentaries like this beforehand. I only saw this after I went vegan. If I had seen any of this footage before I went vegan, I probably would have gone vegan much sooner. But as I learned about these industries, I was still a student here. I'm doing a PhD right now at Cowspiracy, and I know most of you are students as well. So I asked myself this question of, what is the true point of education? Is it publishing papers? Is it getting A or A plus on an exam? Is it getting a good career? What is it? And I realized for me at least, it is understanding and knowing the mistakes that we've made in the past and presently, and working to create a better world. And I could not think of a better way to do it than becoming an animal rights activist. As you've seen here in the documentary, there are 80 billion land animals, 2 trillion marine animals that are killed every year for human consumption. And we don't have to do any of this. They're all sentient beings, cows, fish, chickens, sheep, goats, etc. They get all feel pain just like we do. We don't have to do any of this. We can try and thrive on a plant-based diet. So I ask you the same question I asked myself when I was going vegan. I would urge you to look deep inside your conscience and ask yourself, is this ethical, what we're doing to these animals? Is this right? Is this moral? Do we have to do any of this? And if you were in a position, how urgently would you want that industry to stop? If you were stuck in a cage your whole life, if it was you whose neck was about to be slit, would you want this to happen to you? For me, the answer was no, I don't want any of this to happen to me or anyone else, humans or non-human animals. That's why I went vegan, and that's why it's now my life's goal to speak up for these animals. I do this every day. So I urge you to think about this carefully too. And I leave you with this question, which side of history will you be on? Thank you.
How was it?
It was hard watch.
It was really scary.
Scary? Was it scary?
It's a lot of intense footage. It tricked me,
Yeah.
but in a good way.
How did that make you feel?
They're heavy. They're
Heavy?
Pretty bad at the industrial level.
Yeah.
Honestly, a little more okay on the more small organic level.
Yeah.
But
Some of them was actually smaller farms too.
yeah, but it's not
Unfortunately,
all of them are good, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they all go to the same slaughterhouse. And as long as people want to eat meat, egg, dairy, like factory farms are a thing because they're just very efficient at killing animals. Are you glad that you came?
You know, I am. It definitely like puts a different perspective on all that. Just like seeing it happen firsthand, because you don't really think about it happening like that. So
Did you know about like egg and dairy?
somewhat, but not to the extent that like they were doing it there. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really know about like separating the baby
Yeah.
from the mothers and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's horrible.
I didn't know too much. I saw a few documentaries in high school when the teachers would present it, but since then it hasn't really been like emphasized enough about like the slaughterhouse and everything like that. It's like the last time I saw it was probably in sophomore year.
Yeah.
So it's been like 3 years since then. So
Yeah.
And then you always forget about it. So
Yeah.
So hopefully they emphasize it more, and then also if you guys keep doing this, then you can see it and it would be presented more
Yeah.
and everything like that.
What are you gonna do about it?
I would not buy maybe fur anymore. Although I would think about vegan.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
I think about it.
Think about it. That's great. Think about it hard. Just know that your thinking and your intentions are not gonna stop that. It's your actions.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Next time you sit down to eat, just choose vegan. That's all. Yeah.
definitely gonna think about it hard.
Yeah. I think it's potentially the biggest moral question of our time. Just know that next time you sit down to eat, it's very easy. You can just choose vegan.
Right.
But if you have meat, egg, dairy, stuff like that, this is what we're supporting.
Right. Right.
And I think most people agree that's horrible.
Yeah.
So being vegan is just basically aligning our actions with our values.
Right. Right.
And we are here, so this is Allied Scholars for Animal Protection. If you, the second you decide to take that step, even you're thinking about it, join us, we'll help you. Text any of these guys, these are students. I guarantee you they'll take you out for dinner, they'll show you what to buy, they give you all the resources. We're here to support you, but I hope now at least you understand why it's a moral urgency.
Right. Yeah.
Do me a favor, think about exploitation and think about whether the scale really matters. Like you can, of course you can exploit billions of animals at a time, but even if you exploited one animal, it's still one animal, right?
True.
Yeah,
That's always something I struggle with. Thank you.
take care.
I'm probably gonna go vegetarian, to be honest. I mean, I already kind of like am like vegetarian.
Vegetarianism is definitely it's a step towards the right direction, but unfortunately it doesn't accomplish as it sounds like.
Okay.
Because
yeah. I guess I've always assumed
yeah,
like it's okay.
yeah, it's okay. I went vegetarian myself because I just didn't know about egg and dairy. I thought I was doing all I could, but the truth is, meat, egg, dairy, they're just interconnected. So even if you're a vegetarian, those cows are still exploited, eventually killed, and someone else is going to eat them. But when I think about cows' milk, I just don't think that I'm entitled to take away a cow's milk. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not mine, right? The cow produces milk for her baby.
That makes
So when
sense.
we have it, it just means that someone else doesn't, that the baby doesn't. I also say that just because the degree of and scale of this exploitation is so massive, the least we can do is to be vegan. And by being vegan, by rejecting animal exploitation, then you can actually send a very strong signal to the society. So true or false, do you want this to stop, everything you saw?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Right. So the question for you becomes, do you want to continue to be a part of a problem, or do you want to be a part of a solution? And being a solution just means that you're vegan and you start speaking up and you tell your friends. And so when you go and you know somebody puts pizza in front of you and you say, no, thank you, can I get it with vegan cheese? And your friend starts like mocking you and says like, why? What's going on? And then you say, oh yeah, I had no idea that this happens in dairy. You become it snowballs from there. So if we want this system to change, the least we can do is to be vegan and actually speak up. And what does that say in the back of that leaflet?
It says, forward, do you want the beast to end?
So when? Now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
So
not like to be that.
yeah, I argue that being vegan, like figuring this out, so take your time to figure it out. But you can be vegan and still like do your research and all that, but just know that as long as you're not vegan, you're a part of this, what you just saw, and it doesn't have to be that way. The second you decide to go vegan, heck, we're going to actually get dinner together. So dinner on me, you can just join us. The second you decide to go vegan, you got this, it's not rocket science. But just, when you think about the animals, it becomes very urgent. So just don't lose that sense of urgency.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Take care, guys.
Bye.